in your hands. By that, go back to the answers that you just drew. Go through the answer for a minute, what you have written. If you were to award yourself marks, okay, as an evaluator, don't be a personal pick favorite and write, Acha, I've written this for handwriting, I'll award myself 1 mark. No such thing. If you were to award yourself marks out of 10, how much would you award it? Just write it next to it. Done? Who got 10 on 10? Who got 9? 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Wait, others, what have you given yourself then? 3, 2, 1. What happened to the rest? You have given yourself 0. In the mains, there is a simple strategy I'll teach you. Irrespective of what the question is. There's going to be 2 sets of questions. One is going to be a 10-mark question and another is going to be a 15-mark question. If you are going to enter in something called as UPSC race, that is, once you cross mains, that is UPSC race. For a 10-mark question, average your marks has to be 6 marks. Average. One question can be 8. Another question can be 5. Minimum to minimum 6 marks you need to cross. For a 15-mark question, minimum to minimum you need at least 8 to 10 marks. And trust me, it is not that easy to get this. How many of you think that your handwriting is very legible in what you've written? Do you think if I would give your paper to another person, that person will be able to clearly read your paper? Is it legible? Is it neat? Is it structured, or is it one block of information? They're not going to give you any marks for this, but the person who's going to correct this and he looks at your paper. See, one more thing about UPSC is there's no revaluation. Whatever marks I write and throw on your paper is final. The only time, okay, I'm going to recheck the paper is if you've got higher marks. If you've got lower marks, no one cares about your paper. That marks is written thrown. Think of it like a common human psychology. I'm coming. My job as an evaluator is 10 o'clock. I'm coming. 12 o'clock, your bundle has come to me. Lunchtime is nearing. I'm hungry. And you have written one block of information which is clearly not legible to me. I, as an evaluator, okay, forget, yes, this is the life for you, but for the other person, it's just an occupation. But for me, it's occupation. And this particular bundle is very closer to my lunchtime. I am going to award marks as I see it. It is one big block of information which is just giving me headache. Acha, just give this fellow some 2 marks and move on. Anywhere you get less than 6, you've got yourself screwed. For each and every question. So meaning that writing legibly, writing neatly is not going to earn you marks. But at the same point of time, it makes sure that you don't lose marks. Every single point you have to pre-calculate. You have to calculate to an extent that what if The what if scenarios you have to be very prepared for. Despite that, you will get scenarios where you cannot be prepared for. That is UPSC. One rule, if you have to take away from this, you have to prepare for uncertainties. The word that I used, uncertainty. Pura India pe, if you look at one thing, okay, all of our lives are very uncertain. You all know about the classes people are. Some are lower class, middle class, higher class. You know one thing that constantly people try to fight? This class, the very poor class. It's constantly trying to not fall here and constantly trying to go here. This class doesn't want to fall here. This class is like, anywhere if I go down, there is nothing to go down. If I have to go, I have to go up only. Constantly, all of their lives are filled with uncertainty. Any one of your lives. Questions might be there. I have left my job. I have picked this. What if I don't clear this exam? Then will the job market hire me back? Should I sat for placement? Should I continue my job? Uncertainty. Every single thing, uncertainty. One such thing that happens in all our lives, okay, whether it be personally, emotionally, psychologically, economically, is always this uncertainty. This economically, we try to fill it with majority of Indian society buys that concept to protect them against this. In any case, if something happens and we run out of money, we have that as a bag. Okay? In case something happens, like for example, you all know 2000 rupees notes, 500 rupees notes, 1000 rupees notes, devaluation, any day government can do anything for your physical cash. They can't do that for the gold. So you are preparing yourself for uncertainty. First thing. Second thing, now this itself became this. The metal that you use for uncertainty itself became uncertain because of higher price fluctuations, made people become even more uncertain, which led to people buying it. There was news and reports where people spent all their savings just to buy that and keep. What if that rises to 8,000? Then I can profit $1,000 out of it. Uncertainty. And I asked you, what do you think the role of your so-called bureaucrat is? You have to navigate uncertainty that happens every day basis. If you look at the entire country, every part of it has some uncertainty. All of a sudden, there's riots somewhere. All of a sudden, there's flooding somewhere. All of a sudden, there is communal clashes somewhere. There is no such thing called as certainty, and they try to pick a person who can navigate this. That is the reason why they ask you questions like that. It appears like, they're just asking some question, random question. Everything they're very clear about what they are doing. Everything revolves around this one. You just have to know where to tie it up. Same like your today's class, I walked in, I told, write this answer. Hang on. The so-called thing that we said, uncertainty. You know why this happens largely, especially in Indian culture? Any ideas? Uncertainty means just this. You can't predict what is going to happen. Of all the countries, it's very large in India. Why do you think so? Excellent. So this is why you just wrote about diversity. See, one thing about your NCERTs that we will be starting. See, the NCERT means today will be covering from something like 6th standard. Yeah. See, UPSC is not telling, or people who have written this exam are not telling, you have to read 6th standard NCERT to clear UPSC exam. Understand one simple thing. You're not, this NCERT book was designed for a 6th standard child. NCERT didn't design this thinking UPSC aspirants will come, so we will design them this book. That book has a clear motive. Target audience is a 6th standard child. Okay. When we tell you to read that book, it is not for writing 6th standard exam. Understanding? So don't read that book thinking, yes, 6th standard exam I'm going to clear. There are certain facts. Again, because of your varied backgrounds, you might have forgotten the basis, which is needed for your advanced class. Just to fill that gap, you read the NCERT. Again, you're reading this NCERT not for 6th standard exam, but for UPSC perspective. What is taught in this class is what 6th standard NCERT is needed from UPSC perspective, and that's it. See, again, the book of your NCERTs are designed in such a manner. First, they'll give you one story. Then they will give you some content. Then they will give you a conclusion. See, the person reading, the target audience is a 6th standard child. Do you think if I start with Constitution is this, do you think that person would want to read that book? So rather, how do I keep it engaging? Ramu did this. Somu did this. What do you think you will do? Those are the only kinds I can make it to make them sit in the class. Otherwise, they'll just get up and start walking around. Yeah. So understand, do not read that book and by heart thinking that is the information that I need. Understanding? Diversity is the very first topic in your 6th NCERT. But what part of diversity is needed, how is it needed for you is what we try to discuss it now. Understanding? I'll give you a small intro. 1947. Anything specific about that date? Independence. Which independence? Indian independence. Yeah. If I use this word 1947, it's Indian independence. Up until now, fine. But from now onwards, 1947 was not just Indian independence. It was also partition. What partition happened? India? Okay. How many ways the partition was? Ways. Yeah. Partition was this way, right? Anything else should I add? Okay. What is it, ma'am? So Pakistan was divided. Partition did not happen. When I say 1947 partition, it wasn't partitioned as Pakistan and Bangladesh. It was partitioned as West Pakistan, East Pakistan. Only post year 1972 did we get Bangladesh. So when you're speaking about 1947 timeline, there is West Pakistan, India, East Pakistan. No Pakistan, Bangladesh. But if you have to use it in present terms, it is presently the partition is viewed upon as Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. But 1947 period of time, Pakistan, India, your West Pakistan, India, East Pakistan. Clear? Why do you think this partition happened? 1947, India got independence. India had partition. Why do you think partition happened in the first place? Diversity, okay. Sorry, come again. Okay. Muslim League. Okay. Why do you think he demanded that separation was needed? Representation was not there. Okay. Why did he feel that representation was not there? Now that fellow felt means all other people also will not agree, no, because that fellow felt. They also would have felt, the people also would have felt there was a reason why they feel that, this is happening. Why do you think they felt that? Why do you think? Now people are all there in this area. People are all there in this area. They agreed with this. Why do you think they agreed? We need to be separate. Simple answer is differences. The so-called answer that you wrote, diversity. Okay. If I was you, and if I had to write an answer for mains perspective, I had to start with an introduction. Any answer, I have to start with an introduction. Most times people lose their time and marks trying to come up with a very attractive introduction. Yeah, introduction is not going to gain you marks, but it can gain you brownie points, meaning it leads into the question. Okay, introduction is important, but not as important as you losing time and marks for it. If I was to start, I would have just defined it simple words by diversity means. Okay, I would have just defined what the question itself is. That is one of the tricks for your mains. In case you don't know what to write your answer, begin your answer as pick a word from the question, define it. That's all is your introduction. Simple. Okay, you do not waste your time breaking your head into what do I write. So in my words, simple words, I will start my introduction itself like that. In simple words, diversity means differences. Yeah. Because of this differences, partition happened. I told you 1972, this was no longer, and this is no longer called as your East Pakistan, rather it's called as Bangladesh. So a partition happened in Pakistan itself. Yeah. Why do you think partition happened in Pakistan itself? Simple thing. They had differences. What differences? Those things now you learn in your advanced classes, but they had differences. Partition happened. Okay. Within Pakistan itself, partition happened. But within India, no such partition happened. Why? Okay. Constitutional structure. Then again, we'll come back to the same thing because we recognized and accepted these differences. This, in terms of terminologies, we called tolerance. When you tolerate the differences, when you respect the differences, okay. See, the whole point they moved in. One more most important thing in my class, okay. No religion is bad, right? Whatever be it, whether you believe in religion or not, it's up to you, your personal belief. Whenever it comes throughout in history, no religion is ever bad. Because some fellow would have did something, do not tarnish or taint any religion. And you, when you sit in the class or when you are outside as a bureaucrat, whatever your religion is, whatever your personal faith is, that is to you. You keep it within you. But respect all the other religions, respect all of others' beliefs. As a bureaucrat, it's required that you do that. Okay. Same thing when a country does that, no matter what your religion is. Okay. No matter what your religion is, no matter what your language is, no matter what your community is, no matter what your culture is, if you respect and tolerate these differences and alleviate the fear of these people, then that is what you call as a just society. When I use these words such as just society, This is directly to be used in mains. Okay. For just society, another word we use, okay, like an equal to, if I put, it is called egalitarian society. A society where minorities, majority, people who are from different religion, people who are from different language, people who are from different caste, people who are from different community, are all living under the same umbrella. Okay, when that is treated fair and equally, okay, then we attain a just society, or we move towards an egalitarian society. When this is happening, then partition ka necessity won't happen. So basically what we are trying to tell is India is very rich in diversity, differences. We have a lot of differences. See, our constitution we have something called as scheduled languages. We have recognized 22 languages. Okay, yet we do not have an official state language. We do not have an official state religion. Because if I pick one language or one religion as state language or state religion, then what will the others feel? Acha, then these people will be favoring to this particular language people or this particular religion people. Okay, that is one of the main reasons India did not adopt a state language or a state religion, making India a secular country. See, whatever words I write and underline like this means that you have to have it in your answer irrespective of what stage of preparation you are in.
When the reorganizations of states happen.
That is where the thing is. It did not happen on linguistic basis pertaining one state, one language. It didn't happen. No. See, that is where. See, you had multiple, as you've gone through this before, you know, there was committees before state reorganization. You have JVP committee, Fazil Ali committee and all those things. When one of the committees agreed for linguistic, one main reason they told was, we are okay with making it a linguistic provinces. Segregation State Reorganization Act of 1956 clearly states that we do not agree for one state, one language. Meaning, this region, okay, let's take Karnataka region. Karnataka doesn't mean it is for Kannadigas. This was the simple explanation. Meaning, okay, Tamil Nadu doesn't mean it's for Tamilians. This was one of the main point that was quoted in the very first linguistic basis. We are going to create demarcation based on linguistic basis, but that doesn't mean one language, one state. If that was the case, unofficially we have around 1,900 languages. So we have to make 1,900 states. Because we say we are secular, then we are going to make everyone come on one state, right? That is not possible and feasible, right? So one language, one state was not created. Okay, that policy was renounced. Coming to this. Okay. See, now when we got independence, that is 1947 period of time, India was having a lot of problems. First of all, the Britishers who were to leave and go, they asked, okay, fine, give us money. People were like, what money do you want? They said, this is the exact statement that the British think that it was reasonable to tell Indians. You have caused us immense loss. That is, they are telling Indians caused the British immense loss. Now to leave us and go, they need some amount of money. So they actually thought it was valid to ask us money. Okay, that is first thing. Second, we had partition. The partition was done in such haphazard and worst sort of manner. Okay, that kind of partition can be done only by people who are always having partition minds. One simple example I'll tell you towards our eastern part of India. Earlier it was Bengal. Now it is partitioned as East Pakistan, Okay. And now it is here partition. Let's assume it as Bengal. Okay. Our northeastern area is very rich resource. Okay. The most rich resource, which was very good in cultivation of jute. Okay. Very rich cultivation of jute. The partition was done in such a manner that all the jute producing areas went to East Pakistan. All the jute processing area machines came to India. So technically we were left with large number of machines with no or enough land to produce jute. What do we do with the machines then? Have you ever seen a PDS or a ration shop? You've ever seen how they store the grains, sugar and everything? How do they store it? I mean, in what do they store it? Sacks, or what is it called as? Gunny bags. Gunny bags, sacks, you know that. It was decided lot of food crops, presently I'm talking, lot of food crops were getting wasted. It was getting spoiled because of storing them in this. So a lot of people came up and told the government, suggested, let's replace this and use plastic bags. That is improving the shelf life of the grains. That is also preventing wastage. Okay. But you people, like you people, the bureaucrats then said, no, we can't do that. Yes, it is leading to wastage. Yes, it is leading to a lot of spillage, wastage, all the things is happening, but still we cannot replace this. This is an issue that is still going on. 2019 again when the issue came. The reason was just this simple. Where do you think we use jute? Present day, where do you think we use jute? Sorry? Making gunny bags like this. The issue that we spoke here was of 1947. We were left with machines and very few land which can produce that. Still today, 2024, still today, this entire section of people, their livelihood is just this. Producing this and making this. If in case, if we allowed, this we will remove and put plastic bags, the things, the so-called gunny bags they will make is no longer useful. If they lose their occupation, okay, millions are dependent on this. All of these people will be thrown into hunger and unemployment. Just one small change from gunny bags to bring plastic bags. But the bureaucrats didn't agree. Why? Because they have to look from this perspectives also. And you will be able to look from this perspective. That is why you are sitting in that place. If in case you decided I will change from gunny bags to put it into nice fancy plastic bags and store those, millions of people in this region, even today, 2024, will lose food, will lose employment, will lose their livelihood. So the economy is further burdened. Your so-called GDP, gross domestic product, or basically the income that the country produces, will have a severe strain because for these millions of people, you have to now provide an alternative. Do you have an alternative for that? The simple thing, gunny bag, has that much importance in Indian society. How it is, these are the things. This is the way why these gunny bags are still used, irrespective of the amount of things that it creates wastage. What do you think we're trying to prove all these things here? There are different sections of people here. See, we just took one example of gunny bag. That is your eastern, okay? Your eastern part of India is facing this issue. The same issue is not an issue for your southern states. The same is not an issue for your western states. Each and every state, each and every region of India has a unique set of challenges. All those unique set of challenges makes people suitable to their livelihood. We'll take another example. Coastal area. What is their main source of occupation? Yeah. Let's take towards your for Delhi period of time. Let's say this is peak winter times of December, January. On your assumption, okay, this period of time, what do you think is the staple food of a person living in a coastal area? Okay, fine. Fish. What do you think might be a staple food here? Staple food, I'm not telling the fancy sushi foods. Staple food. Rice, roti, yeah. What do you think the person here will wear? One more thing is, the coastal areas are always humid. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's always humid. So what do you think a person in this area would dress like? Airy clothes, because again, you can't be wearing woolen clothes, or you can't be wearing your, nylon clothes. So somewhere airy clothes. What do you think a person here in December, January will be wearing? Do you see differences, basic differences from the way they eat, from the way they dress? Very basic, very, very basic. Each and every region in our country, okay? Now, this much to tell this, your NCERT, there will be stories. Ramu Somu, best friend, Ramu from Delhi, this guy from this, they had those things. That is 6th standard kid kill. Progression of this is for your UPSC person. Their lifestyle is different. Yeah, the way they consume is different. The way they speak, the way they talk, they have the mentality. The way of their economy is all different. Pretty much what they do, the further generations also will do that. Pretty much what our ancestors did, that's only we are also doing somewhat. The so-called culture. What our previous people did, the same thing we're doing, and we're calling it culture. Yeah. So the history of a place is dependent on the geography. Because this person is in a coastal side, this person's history or this person's culture is particular way. Because that person is living in a landlocked place, okay, it's more cold. So the geography is determining, the history and geography are very closely interlinked, okay, which leads to the difference, or which leads to the polity. Polity means nothing but your political way of governing that particular area. The history of a place is usually dependent on the geography, which in determine predicts the polity. Okay, all these three together is what makes the economy unique for each place. Economy here means livelihood. Okay, the economy here means livelihood, or as we said, the person who is doing or getting money by fishing in coastal area to a person who is selling sweaters in your Himachal, Delhi regions, it's a different way. They're acquiring money through a different way. So your livelihood is from different sources. All this uniqueness together leads to a social life that is unique, different, or what we call as society. Your social life is dependent on the economy. Your economy is dependent on your polity. The polity is dependent on the geography, and that on the history. Understanding? In your very 6th NCERT, they introduced something called as prejudice or stereotype. Let's say I'm a person living in Delhi. For me, a person living in, let's say, your coastal areas is very different. Just because I don't live a life like that, I start thinking of people like this. See, this is one concept that is prevalent in all the countries of the world, as well as in an international sphere. Let me tell you this. Internationally, there's the say. Okay, they say, hi, Asians. We're all clubbed as Asians. Meaning, they put a tag on us. This is a Delhiite. We put a tag on this. This is a Mumbaikar. This is a Bengalurian. That is a Madrasi. I don't know what that is, but people assume and tell that is a Madrasi. I don't know where that word originated, like people call it. But this is what people put tags on you. So basically, you're tagged because you belong to a particular place or region. Whether you know about that or not, but you're tagged. Yeah. So if this tagging is just for differentiating people, it is fine. But no, you think this kind of people are like this only. So people say, acha, okay, you're a Madrasi, then you eat idli and dosa or dosa. It is assumed, this person means he has to eat this. Acha, you're a Delhiite, then you should eat paratha. It's a common food, and that too in a globalized world, we can eat any food anywhere. But we assume this person means this person will do this only. So in simple terms, that is called prejudice or stereotype. This starts from the very basic level and it ranges up to your international level. If you pick up a newspaper and see, okay, in countries, we are a huge diasporan country, meaning we go to other countries for education and employment. Usually it is European countries or your American countries. Why? Because again, we are able to do that, so we do that. Largely, if you pick up the newspaper and see, there will be killing of Indian student. Australia, there is large amount of harassment did to Indian students. USA, gym one guy was shot dead. He is of Indian origin. Because when asked, when did a survey, they gave a thing, these Asians are taking my jobs. I don't like these Asians. I don't like the fact that they're coming to America and taking all my stuff. So they have a hatred, or when you associate the tag to a hatred. When you associate a hatred to a section of people that you yourself give tags to, then that leads to hate crime. And the same thing when it happens to India, or let's say, I asked you, why do you think Pakistan was further partitioned? I'm not telling it was hate crime. I'm telling when you don't understand the differences, when you don't respect the differences, when you don't set the boundaries, that leads to people stereotyping you, looking badly on you, or thinking differently about you, and which in turn leads to social disharmony. When this comes in place, when social disharmony comes in place, there is no peace prevailing in that region. When the peace is not prevailing in that region, this is where people ask for secession or separation from you. Understanding? Yes or no? This secession further leads to partitions. Okay. So when India was partitioned and India got independence in 1947, like you all mentioned, India was made into a large number of smaller states. Yes, you guys said princely states, but that was not all it was. There were some places that was called provinces. There were certain places that was called princely states. And there were certain places that were called as chief commissioners. Okay, chief commissioners unit or governors unit, where each of this province or princely state, the division of it was not done on any territorial basis or for the betterment of people. It was done because it was benefiting the British. Now the challenge lied in front of your Indian government, okay, that is free independent India, to bring them all together. Okay, one challenge that they had was bring them all together. Plus without sacrificing their individuality. It's a very tough thing where you have to preserve both the person's individuality as well as bring them all together and give them a feeling of nationality. And for a country, India, if you look at it, almost 400 years of British rule, 200 years directly, 200 years indirectly. For a country which just faced 400 years of colonial rule, now suddenly to bring in and entrust the spirit of nationality was a very difficult concept. And most important concept was bringing a concept of unity was even more difficult. But we had one advantage to bring them into unity. The same seed that thought it was going to break our spirit actually created our spirit. Your Britishers thought this freedom struggle can be broken easily because people are very diverse. But what they didn't realize was all of their nonsensical kind of acts you will come across, Rowlatt Act, okay, multiple things like that will come across. Those things actually brought us together. Full of India fought for national struggle and they became united. You know how? Because they saw one common enemy. That is your British. We united because of a common enemy. Understanding? Now, when all these people came together, fought for freedom, yes, we said, we need India, you leave India and go back. We united because we had one common enemy. Now, the common enemy has gone. The people are back to the diverse thing. Now, how do you bring them again as a common unity? That is where the challenge lied. But that was easy for us because we had another common factor of unity. List keeps on going. Poverty, unemployment, communal clashes, that, this, that, everything was there. Be it a person in a higher caste, lower caste, or whatever caste it is, this is common in all of the castes. Yeah. So this brought unity back to us. Meaning, we promised them telling, yes, now I am going to make sure I'm going to reduce all these things from you. State religion. Yeah. But India has certain religions which are major population in numbers. Yeah. There could be a religion A which is almost like 50% in number. There could be a population which is having or practicing a religion which the members are only 20%. There is also a religion which people practicing that are only 3%. Okay, this we call as majority. Yes, this we will call it as minority. Yeah, one of the common fears that the minority have is if this majority, okay, if someone from this majority comes to a very higher post, then it is obvious that they will favor their own religion. Yes. So it is a possibility that they will trample us. So one of the largest things or one of the largest challenges that India had was alleviating the fears of minority. Write that exact word. You will use the exact statement in your mains. Alleviating the fear of minorities. From majority oppression. Or the term that we use is tyranny of majority. One of the huge challenges that even still today that we face, the issue that we faced back in 1947 and still we face in 2024 is the minorities' fear should be alleviated, meaning they should be kept in a place that, okay, we will provide you conditions where you will not feel like the majority will rule over you. Or the word we use is majority oppression or tyranny of majority. For this particular word, underline it, highlight it, do whatever it is, you will use that exact word in your mains as well as interview. Okay. Now all these minorities, they started questioning. You will tell now, what if two prime ministers later or two decades later, people will again go back to treating us the same way? Okay. Before that, you've all heard about something called Varna ashram. Varna ashram meaning in medieval parts of India, that is in medieval period of time, Indian society, okay, ancient as well as medieval period of time, Indian society, especially this Hinduism religion there, they had divided the society based on occupations, okay, or what we call as Varnas. The society was divided based on Varnas. Write that down. School of philosophy is not the word that I would use here, but okay. Varnas, meaning you are going to differentiate people based on the occupations. Up until here, fine. Any ideas what those Varnas are? Fine. Varna system is, I'm going to differentiate people based on their occupation. Up until here, it was fine. But the second part was hierarchy started, meaning if you are born into a particular Varna, the person will continue to do the same occupation whoever is coming. That is, you cannot change your Varna. If you are born into a Varna, then you are supposed to do just that work. People question, okay, so it will be like a continuity. What is the issue? People said, okay, fine. Fine. People will continue with their Varna. So much so that if a person wanted to change or do a different occupation, it was not allowed. Okay. This much you know. Yes, there is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But the society started going in such crazy mode that they overlooked two other sections, and two other sections were also there. Untouchables, and below that came women. This was the status accorded to the women of the society at that point of time. I'm not telling everyone, yeah. Tribal people also, they will be put under this and this.
They were not given a separate
Mm-hmm. No. It's not like they were segregation here did not mean that tribal people means separate. They were all put under this two conditions only. Yeah, yes. Now we have given them a separate. This is what we saw, but this is what reality was. There was a section of people who didn't even classify to be put under the Shudras, and they call them untouchables. Below them, the worst conditions came was the so-called women at that point of time. The conditions that was did, okay, see today UPSC, there is this, people keep telling, SC/ST reservation is there, so what? SC/ST reservation is there, so what? One of the worst thing that humanity can do to another humans was did here. Not your reservation, no matter what you do to give them, it is not enough for the amount of torture, the amount of inhumane conditions they have been put through. Most people read it in books to find out, but for them, they have to carry through generational trauma, if you have heard that. One of the worst kind of things that humanity could do, they did it for them. I'll just tell you one very basic incident. This is the incident that I'm telling you is not something which was in 1960s or 1920s. Still, majority places people try to practice it, and whenever government sees that, it tries to remove and penalize them in a very harsh manner. Mostly this was carried out. What happened was, this is called a main hamlet. Okay, in geography you will learn. Hamlet means a place where a lot of people will be living. All right, like for example, city, Jayanagar area means this place we were all living. Yeah, there will be certain inhabitable area. Okay, generally, if we are living in this place, means this place will have to have water. Yeah, this place should have access to your transportation. This place should also be nearby to city where you can earn your livelihood and all those things. Then there will be certain areas where you cannot live at all. Okay, it will be pitch dark forest, nothing else will be there. You can't grow anything, you can't live there. The so-called this section of people were made to live here. No access to water. 75% of our body is made with water, and do you think we don't need water? Even basic access to water they didn't have. So if they had to come from this place to this hamlet to take water, this was a very common practice that was did. That person, be it a male, female, or a child, when this person is going to come from here to here, they were allowed to come either early in the morning or late in the night. And when they would come, they had to announce loudly, okay, with some sort of drums or instrument. They had to keep banging and coming, telling that I, a person belonging to so and so caste, I'm coming into this particular hamlet. So all the people living here would go and run and hide into their houses because they thought that these people were so polluted that they shouldn't look upon them. They had to go, they would go and hide into their houses.
You should keep separate wells.
Here, if well is able to be dug, then they will dig. But do you think these people who think that they are so polluted that they would not want to come in? It's true. Temples and all, they were not allowed. But I am telling here, if there is a no provision for well, they have to come here only, no?
It's like what I was saying is they would have constructed a separate well for them.
You're telling they could have. See, if those people are not even considering them as human beings, do you think they will do something for the betterment of those people? Right, right. So when they had to come in, they had to beat in huge amount of drums to come into this place. The announcement part, okay, fine. Now these people will run into their houses, that is also fine. This was one real incident that happened, which was reported in the paper. A family of 3 was walking by from this place to here. A husband, a wife, a child. All 3 need water, right? Irrespective of whether you're a human or an animal. What they had to do was, you know, this long broomsticks, they had to tie it on their back and walk. So much so that the logic behind that kind of harsh thing was, even their footprints was considered very polluting, that they had to clean their own footprints. The man, he is doing that. The woman, she is doing that. Why? Because out of practice, they have to do it, whether they like it or not. What will you tell that 5-year-old or 6-year-old child who has to do this? What exactly in the society will you give as a logical explanation to tell a 6-year-old child how we are supposed to do this because our footprints are polluting? That itself determines how depreciating amount of things that we have did. Now that child, no matter how much it grows up or whether it understands or whether it doesn't understand, we have given something called as generational trauma. No matter how much money, well, this thing, all those things you give, you cannot take away the traumas. Imagine yourself in that position. How would you react? How would you even think that this is fair? How would you think that this is okay? The so-called concept of this is okay. How would you even do that? That was performed on this section of people. See, today when you're sitting here, do not assume yourself like, I am going to become a collector, means everything is going to be all hippie, happy, pola. This kind of things, you know, still today, untouchability, in different forms, we are torturing them. Okay, in different forms, tortures are performed on them. If you ever become a bureaucrat and if you're able to at least prevent one of these things, that day it is worthy of you becoming a bureaucrat. That day it is a meaning for the so-called job that you get. This doesn't end here for just this section. The women condition was even more cruel. See, again, I'm not telling these things to make you feel like society was that horrible, this, that, everything, or I'm not trying to put you guys down by making you telling the stories, but these are realities which you have to deal with. Once you're posted as a collector in a particular area, these become a daily norm that you have to deal with. So when I say know the rules before you enter the game, these are all the things that's happening in real life society. Not things like, I will teach you, this is constitution pe A is there, wo is there, that thing, this thing. And if you go spit that in the interview, they will not even consider you are a person who's fit for this role. They do not want an AI, artificial intelligence, to sit there and reiterate the constitution. They want a real empathetic human being, not sympathetic, an empathetic human being who would be there to do something for them, not feel like, ayyo, papa, this should not have happened for them. When you sit in this class, I told you, do not sit with the mentality of a graduate student, or do not sit like, you're studying 6th standard NCERT. You're sitting here because you're going to become a bureaucrat. Sit with that mentality. So each and every issue you see here, or the goal thing, or this thing, whatever we ask, this is called current affair. Something that is actually happening in the society that needs your attention. And they will ask you these questions just to see that how are you going to assess and deal in situations like that. Women condition was even more horrible, especially the case of widows was even more pathetic. A survey was did asking, secretly, those women were almost, there was something called courtyards, where next to that they would tie the cows. That is where they would excrete and everything. Beside, associated to this was a very dark room. That's where the widow was placed. Okay. According to them, or according to the society at that point of time, they considered it very inauspicious if they viewed a widow, be it in the morning or night. So what happened? The condition of the widows, okay? We also had the concept of child marriage. 5 years, 6 years married off to a 30-year-old man. And that point of time, we had high prevalence of diseases. Okay, people would die from even common cold. That was also the scenario. So that dude dies. 5-year, 6-year kid, now widowed. It doesn't know the concept of a marriage. It doesn't know the concept of widowhood. Now that kind of people and all did these things. Fine. Now those kind of women are kept in dark rooms. Why? Because they're not supposed to view the daylight to see all these people, or else they consider it very inauspicious. During a freedom struggle period of time, around 1830s period, people tried to conduct how is the life of those women. So particular people, without anyone noticing, somehow had contact with them, and they asked a bunch of widows, what do you think, if there is something that you could do, if something that we could give, what is one thing that you would want? It could be even hypothetical, like, I wish my husband came by, God came, this, that, anything. It could be hypothetical, it could be really. The answer those women gave, I wish to look at sunlight. The so-called sunlight that we're just walking around, that the women just told that, I want to witness the sunlight on me. That was the polite that was given. Meaning, of all the things they could ask and witness and wish for in the world, be it hypothetically or really, all they wish was to see the daylight. That was the condition that was meted out with that. I'm not telling that the society was good. At the same time, I'm not telling society was bad. It was challenging. Harsh reality is, even today it is challenging in different levels. Even today, for all these sections, we have given a different set of challenges. Now, whenever you are made into a bureaucrat, they ask you something called as honey trap questions. If you are going to change this in the, or they ask you if you were to become one day CM, one day PM. Do you think if someone was able to change this, they wouldn't have changed a person before you? So don't fall for those questions. There is not one this thing, or you're not some avatar push who's come to change of the society. One thing you can try to do is just simple thing. Our freedom fighters constantly use these words. I don't want to take these people to heaven, but at least I don't want to take them to hell. You're not, you as bureaucrats are not going to make their life flowy, colorful. No, you just have to make sure they don't enter hell. That's it. That's all is the work that you are supposed to do. So all these sections of people are now standing in front of Indian government, 1947, thinking, now we have to do something for them. Now, first of all, the society doesn't like change. When 1856 Widow Remarriage Act was passed, that itself was a huge thing. Now, when I tell that, you can now tell that, why are people not okay with agreeing to the concept of widow remarriage? Okay, then I'll pose you now the question. You all know about LGBTQIA+ community. See, again, whatever your personal belief is, whether you agree, whether you don't agree, that's up to you, your personal, keep it within you. Don't tell it out to a person who has gone through to some other levels of pains. So why is the society very skeptical about agreeing to those things right now? Yeah. Today also we have this concept, LGBTQIA plus community, Supreme Court decriminalized it. We didn't give them marital status or anything, because if that was to be, then people are telling Indian society will be totally bananas. It will break down. This kind of same mentality they had back then when people told, no, widows and also can remarry. Each time we have a separate set of challenges. So back then Indian government had the same set of challenges. To all these section of people, what am I going to do? And these people ask the question back, fine, now this section especially asked, fine, now you will do. Okay, you will agree that I will do. You will do, your next generation will do. The next decade later, what if people again go back to tormenting us? So they had to give them, like I told you, the tyranny of majority was there, a fear for every one of them. So the government, they had to come up with something telling, I will create something to make sure that this particular set of rules which applies for you should always be followed. So all the set of rules they wrote down in a piece of parchment, that is called your constitution. So if I use the word constitution, in simpler words, a set of rule book, which acts as a philosophy and a moral guide to the upcoming generations. Okay, so back then, okay, couple of people came together and they said we are going to create this constitution. The members who created this constitution, they formed themselves into an assembly. That is called as Constituent Assembly. A bunch of people who made the constitution, okay, called themselves as Constituent Assembly. All right. Now this section of people were busy. Almost they took nearly 2 years to complete this constitution. Okay? Finally, on a particular day, whatever they created in here came into force on this particular day. 26 January 1950 is vis-a-vis the day you celebrate your Republic Day. Okay, you celebrate Republic Day. Again, this history dates back to 1930, that later in classes we will discuss. But as of now, from this day onwards, they said Indian society will function on a basic set of rules that is put forward by this, where all the sections of people, be it your lower class, middle class, higher class, okay, higher caste, lower caste, okay, depressed class, the so-called untouchables were ended up calling depressed class by one of the most proponent leaders of that particular caste, being your B.R. Ambedkar. One pro tip for you is, whenever you use the word scheduled caste, depressed class, always mention B.R. Ambedkar. One of the finest man history has ever witnessed, and one of the worstest things that we have did for him. Okay, that is your B.R. Ambedkar, or father of Indian Constitution, or father of, or chairman of drafting committee. Okay, you always have to mention B.R. Ambedkar. So this constitution was created for all the sections of people or minorities for one major thing, to avoid the tyranny of majority. Okay. 46. There are three different things we use. Date. Came into being, came into force, adopted. Here it came into force, meaning from this day onwards, constitution. There is C, for example, came, adopted, came into force. All these have different meanings. This particular date is where we say adopted or came into force. Adopted meaning they prepared the constitution, 1946, November. But they needed a historical date to tell this is the beginning of the constitution. You know that Purna Swaraj 1930, for that day, they had to wait for this day. To pick this particular day and tell from today onwards, it will come into formally force. So the formal proclamation ke liye, we are using this day. Once preamble is taught, you will be told 26th November, all those things will come in. But as of now, for the formal thing, we use 26th January 1950. Yeah. Now all these things were done. During the freedom struggle, people had different version of how India should be. Okay. One such you all, I am assuming you've heard of this name, Jawaharlal Nehru, the very first Prime Minister of India. Now, this section of people who witnessed, Nehru and all witnessed a different growth for India. There was this other section of people who had a different idea for India. This person, okay? This person had a different view for India where he said minimal governance. See, these words, whatever I write down, you write it down. In your answer, whenever it comes to decentralization, I'll explain what it is. You will use these irrespective of what the question is. And highlight it and underline it in your answer. So it will get you. Okay? Gandhi envisioned India where there will be minimal governance and excessive or large decentralization. Write this word highlighted, very, very important. Okay? I will tell you a particular catchphrase. You write that. Just in case, whenever, listen complete. Just in case, whenever you run out of things to write for introduction or mains or even a conclusion, one pro tip is use these catchphrases, okay, as either introduction or in the body or to end that. Gandhi wanted a society for India where he claimed, comma, open quotes, Gram Rajya is Ram Rajya. Gram Rajya is Ram Rajya. Close quotes, full stop. Continue next. Gandhi believed true democracy. Gandhi believed true democracy lied in the villages. Okay. Whenever the question, which it will means you will have multiple questions on the word decentralization, I'll explain all those things. When these catchphrase is seen in the question, irrespective of what it is, use all these things. Always mention Gandhi. Decentralization, what is there? Mention of Gandhi. These things will earn you points. That is, will earn you marks. Okay. First, we'll see what decentralization is. Another thing, you cannot use your texting languages. I can write it here, but you can't use it. Okay, especially in your mains paper, do not use that. That will amount to, okay, pissing off the evaluator. Don't use that. And do not use colored pens. Okay, don't go on underlining with, you know, sketch pens, stencils. Don't use any of those. Decentralization, meaning, according to Gandhi, what he assumed was, people are always well aware how to govern themselves. When they know how to govern themselves, they do not need a centralized organization. Like today we have Prime Minister, President, Council of Ministers. He said none of those are needed. These are all Western concepts. The one concept that has been there since our Indian society beginning was the concept of decentralization, meaning bunch of people. Now here, a particular village, if I take, okay, all these villages, okay, this is village 1, village 2, all these things, if I keep clubbing, okay, this will form a bunch of villages. Yeah. So whatever issue happens in this particular village, okay, there'll be a section of people, okay, who will deliver justice to that village based on their norms and conditions. Their beliefs of this village would be different. Okay, so when you give punishment based on those beliefs, this village will be adhering to their belief, culture, and all those things. But today there is an issue from this village. Okay, if someone has committed a crime, and if, let's say, they go to Supreme Court or High Court, they are not going to see, in your village, what is the rules. They will tell, according to the law, if you do this, it's wrong. Okay, so they will follow something like law of the land. Okay, the Supreme Court has a Criminal Procedure Act. Okay, they will follow that. But here for them, the law of this land is very different from the law of this land. Gandhi specifically told that they have to feel one with themselves, means they have to be here. They should not be forced with these things. Again, see, I'm not telling Gandhi's thing is what we're supposed to follow or not. He's a very famous personality. At the same point of view, he's a very controversial personality. Understanding? Now, when it comes to decentralization, it just means that all these village members, they will be delivered justice. Okay, be it in any case by the members of the same village. All right. So, in the modern sense, that is presently, a big place is divided into villages. Village 1, village 2, village 3, and all those things. Okay. Each person in this village will now carry out, okay, governance in their own way. Meaning, here, this particular village, now we will call. Specifically, we will look into just village 1, wherein in this village 1 pair, I will see who is a person who is 18 years above. For you to vote, you need to be 18 years above. All these 18 years above ka people, I will assemble them in one place and make them sit. Okay. So all the eligible electoral members, meaning all the adult people of that particular village, are now ensembled in one place. All right. This is called as a Gram Sabha. All right, which has the adult population of the village is called as Gram Sabha. Write this down. Understanding? Now, they elect a person for themselves. Okay? That guy, will call him Panchi. He's smiling because he won the election. Okay? Panchi. Alright? Small section of people, they've elected this guy. This guy is called Panchi or ward member. Panchi or ward member here. Fine. We discussed this only for village one, right? Like that only they'll do for all the villages. So there'll be Panchi 1 of this guy, Panchi 2, Panchi 3. There'll be multiple Panchis. Yeah. Now these Panchis all together will come, and for them they'll elect one head. That guy, bigger smile, bigger face, bigger position, no? This guy is called as Sarpanch. Okay? No, this presently I'm telling. Gandhi also wanted on the same lines. What is it? What is it? Yeah, he wanted this strictly to be within the particular village. That's it. Sarpanch guy is there, right? Now this Panchi plus this Sarpanch is called as Gram Panchayat. This was a what? Huh. What is it?
They will elect the Panchis.
Yeah.
And these Panchis will elect the Sarpanch.
Yes. That's what I've told, no? Okay. This is now looking like very juvenile only. Nothing much. People are there, Gram Sabha, these two are there, it's Gram Panchayat. Prelims question was asked. Same thing. This is very basic, now you will remember. Post your advanced classes, the same thing was asked as a prelims question. That people had to pick Gram Sabha, 60% picked Gram Panchayat as the answer. They didn't know what Gram Sabha and Gram Panchayat difference is. Understanding? This is very basic. It was asked as a prelims question. That is why I'm stressing the most on it. Gram Sabha comprises of members of the village who are 18 plus. Gram Sabha doesn't mean all the members of the village. No. 18 plus people whose name is there in the electoral rolls, not that electoral, this village electoral roll. Understanding? Two conditions for being a person of Gram Sabha or a member of Gram Sabha is first condition 18 plus. Second, your name should be in the electoral roll. Who creates, what creates, that and all advanced class pay you will know. This is basics, no? So from basics you understand this. Gram Sabha different, Gram Panchayat different. Panchi plus Sarpanch is Gram Panchayat. Okay? Gram Sabha, this is separate. If you look at it, it doesn't look, as you pointed out, nothing much like how we elect our representatives. There we just use MLA, MP, that thing, right? But this is where the strength of your Panchayat system comes in. So there is Gram Sabha, there is Gram Panchayat. This much is clear, right? No doubts. This system is called as Panchayati Raj Institution, PRI, or LSG, Local Self-Government. Panchayat Raj Institution. Okay, this is called Panchayat Raj Institution or Local Self-Government. Clear up until here, right? Pretty much basic. If you look at it, it's almost like, here wards is there, we will elect those guys, they will do something for us. The difference is here. Now, if these guys, the Panchis plus the Sarpanch, if they have to do something, anything, one thing they need is letter of approval from Gram Sabha. Now they will decide, okay, fine, for our village, we will construct some road. Okay, because village life is very much fabricated and their lives are interlinked. On a particular piece of land, they will tell, let's convert it into a road. Some people in that village might feel, no, we can't do that. This land is very auspicious. There is a temple, that and this. If you tell that to BDA, they'll tell, hey, government approval is there. You go talk to government, don't talk to me. Right? But here, if they have to start doing that work, they can do it only on based on letter of approval given by Gram Sabha. If they do not give that letter, they cannot do that work. Okay? So who has the ultimate control here? This feature is not there in higher forms. That is, when you elect MP and MLA, you see them during elections, next you will see them next elections. Okay? They don't need your approval for anything. You only need their approval for everything. But here, we give them the real power. So, that is where we say, true democracy lies in Panchayat Raj institution or villages. Okay? Clear up until now? This fact that they need a letter of approval, write that, underline it, highlight it. Because this is the one feature that is not present in your MPs, MLAs or elections that we carry out, but they have it. So which means they have more power. Clear? Any doubts so far? Any you don't understand? All right. So now this we are looking at is village level. Okay. Now when multiple of these villages, see before that, segregation of a place, if you look at it, there's something called village. There's something called city or urban area. We call it urban-rural divide. But as you don't have a clear thing like, if I step into this area, suddenly it is city. Okay. Transition always happens. So that's in between place, like towns, which is not full-fledged like a city, which is not fully, ethnic background like your village. So we have village, town, city, where the order of transition happens. All right. Order of transition is like this: village, towns, and cities. Okay. Start writing this down, then I'll explain. Write this down. You can see. Done? I told you there are transitions, right? From village, towns to districts, or that is city. Similarly, if you see the order of your villages, towns, districts, we have same set of rules that apply here. Okay, here it's like a transition phase. There it's like fully upbuilt and all. Okay. In towns, you cannot again call for. Okay, at least here livelihood is little bit different. And urban cities, you can't call people like, there is one village Gram Sabha session happening. You please come and sit. Can you tell that? Will you yourself go and sit that? You won't. So the mode of operation changes as and we progress. Here, what we call as Gram Panchayat, when it comes to intermediate level, okay, this intermediate level or block level pe we call as Samiti. Okay, at block level, we call it as Panchayat Samiti or Gram Samiti. Basically, Samhiti is the word here you will be taking, meaning it is something which is above your Gram Panchayat kind of operation, where not every 18-year-old person will come in and talk and all those things. All right. Here, now a bigger area. Here, if it is just 10 people filled area, here it will be like 20 people filled area. Okay, Panchayat Samiti, which is coming at block level or intermediate level. Two important words you have to take away from here is intermediate level or block level. All right. Then as you progress even more further, at district level, it is called as Zilla Parishad. Okay. So in Zilla Parishad, okay, there'll be multiple people. Again, same mode of, the elected people will keep electing all those things, all fine. But here is where you will come. You as a district collector, okay, you are not the head of it, but you will be the head of operations, meaning whatever projects that they approve, you will make sure you will make it happen. Okay, this is where your role will come as a district collector. The whole name that you get district collector is because of this. Understanding? When they post you something as DC is because district collector. This district is now under you. Doesn't mean that pura district ke liye I'm the head. No, no. You overlook the operations for the projects that the district or Zilla Parishad will tell. See now, Zilla Parishad members are there. All right. Now all these people will come up with one plan telling, this place pe we will have to make road. This plan ka implementer is you. That's it. You will not plan. That planning work is Zilla Parishad only. Understanding? In nowhere people assume that I'm the district collector means I'm the king and queen of the district. No, you are the person who will make sure this operations, whatever they have planned and picked, will operate smoothly. Understanding? This so-called concept of Panchayati Raj institutions, okay, this got a legal status in the Constitution in 73rd and 74th Amendment. Just write that, then I'll explain. The Panchayat Raj institution you cannot write these things in your mains, which means you don't write it now also. What habit comes now comes there, right? Full forms, no short forms, no texting language. Panchayat Raj institution attained legal status in the constitution in the 73rd and 74th amendment. If you guys cannot see, you want to shift, that's it. Done? See, I told you a piece of document called Constitution was created initially when we got freedom. Okay? That is, when was it? When did we get freedom? 1940. At this period of time, we didn't have any such thing called as Panchayat Raj institution, which the Constitution told. Okay, Constitution in this period of time, okay, when we got freedom, and finally when it properly formally came into picture, that is from 1950. Your first general election was held in 1952. First general election happened in 1952. At this point of time, the Constitution told India will have federalism, something like center, something like state. Meaning, in present day terms, something like your Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, or basically your 2024 general elections, whatever you voted, it was for this. Your respective states ke liye you will vote, no? That is this. This much only the Constitution contained the provisions for. Okay? But informally, in the villages, this method was continuing. That Panchayat will be there, Panchi guys will be there, those ward members will elect the Sarpanch guy. This was happening. This was still there. This was there even before India got independence also. And the same thing was still continuing. But this thing became mainstream. Now what happened, as and when people started, more importance was given to this kind of things. See, if something happens in village V1, which is in the remotest corner, Prime Minister cannot come to look into that issue. Chief Minister cannot come looking into the issue. These people felt more and more alienated. This is another word we will keep using throughout. Alienated meaning separated. Meaning of alienated is separated. Alienation means separation. Here. So these people had affinity only towards their Sarpanch. Right? Now, these people were all feeling that we are separate, they are separate. A sort of secessionist tendency started coming up. Okay. Still today, if you look at northeastern areas, there is a lot of secessionist tendencies because they feel very disconnected towards the mainland. Okay. First thing, geography is also one of the issue for that. But here, this thing started happening. They felt that acha, neither they are able to convey with us, nor are we able to convey with them. So in the period of 1990s, okay, from 1950s to 1990s, the same issue was happening. These people felt they were separate, those people something they felt different, okay. So to formally all of them to bring under one concept or under one order, they legalized this concept of Panchayat Raj institution. Meaning, I told you when formally 1950, right? We are going to take the year formally 1950 for Constitution Day. It had only two things. Now, if they are going to tell no, throughout India, we will follow this Panchayat Raj system, means they have to bring that in the Constitution. So they have to change in the Constitution itself. Any changes made to the Constitution is called as amendment. Okay. So in the 73rd amendment, they brought in something called as Panchayat Raj institution. In the 74th amendment, they brought this concept of municipality. Again, for high-tech cosmopolitan cities, you cannot tell Bengaluru pe, Gram Sabha I'm organizing, you people come. People will be like, I don't even like the name, so I'm not coming. So you need municipalities here. So by the 73rd amendment, we brought Panchayat Raj institutions. By the 74th amendment, we brought municipality. When I say 73rd, 74th, meaning 73rd time we changed something in the Constitution. meaning 72 times we changed something else in the constitution. You don't need to know that right now. But in the 73rd time we changed and added, there will be something called as Panchayat Raj institution. 74th time we changed in the constitution and told that we bought municipality. When you change something and bring it in the constitution, meaning you have to follow that. That is why we bring it in the constitution itself. So from 1990s, specifically 1993 onwards, we have brought in this concept of Panchayat Raj institution also. Up until then, our society was 2-tier, but now it is a 3-tier society. First layer, second, third. From this point of time onwards, Indian society functions as a 3-tier society. Okay?
From 1990.
Yeah. 1990s onwards. 1997, third amendment. Okay? This layer, this two together is what we call as grassroots democracy. Grassroots democracy meaning how grass is formed directly from the root, the first source. So that is why the first source of democracy in India we consider is from your Panchayat Raj institutions. That is why your 73rd, 74th is also called as grassroots level democracy. Write that, underline that, you will directly use it in mains. Grassroots level democracy. Done? Clear up until here? Now further onwards, when we started seeing, yes, on paper it's looking nice. Panchayat Raj is there, municipality is there, state is there, center is there, everything is there. We also speak that true democracy lies there. Right on grassroots level democracy is equals to true democracy lies there. These kind of things, when you add it in your mains paper, it adds you brownie points. Grassroots level democracy is equals to true democracy lies there. Clear? On paper, it's looking very good. Like, yeah, we are considering those people as that, this, everything. But reality, it started looking very, very different. We said 3 tiers. Village, town, city. Yeah. How many have you heard this term? Jan Aushadhi. How many of you have purchased in Jan Aushadhi stores? The rest of the class doesn't know what a Jan Aushadhi is. How many of you have heard of this term, generic medicine? How many of you have heard about primary healthcare center? How many of you have visited primary healthcare center? How many of you know what is the fees in primary healthcare center? That is where the issue started coming up. 10th exams are done. People tell life is settled. Once you get 10th good marks, your life is settled. Then you go to PUC, they tell just NEET if you cross off engineering, medicine. We all have this quota. Management quota. Yeah, very actively, only management quota, my class is responding. You have this thing such as your NTA, National Testing Agency. Mostly Indian scenario pay. Again, this is one of the stereotypes we spoke about, Asians feeling. India pay, if you see, there is only 2 professions according to the parents. What are those? Doctor, engineer. Yeah. Pretty much we feel that, either you will become a doctor or you will become an engineer. So either you will choose BE or you will choose MBBS. If everyone becomes a doctor, then someone has to be the patient. Yeah. So huge amount of your medical colleges, engineering colleges, everything will come. You are not able to get seats. So they tell, don't worry, we brought management quota. So your parents, when you are starting itself, they start, okay, I have to either way, looking at my child's state, I think management quota only I have to go. They start saving up, etc., other things aside. Large amount of money is spent on this and this. By this, I'm telling, not for creating a worthy MBBS graduate or a BE graduate, but see, again, at the end of the day, we are not now trying to tell corruption is happening. You are somehow going to fight corruption. You are a bureaucrat. If you don't do one, that is more than enough. Okay. Apart from that, you don't have to break your head how to break the corruption and all those things. One thing is now this has become mainstream economic supply. Okay. Mainstreamly, what they are seeing as money market, it has become. When it is making so much money, another thing. COVID vaccine, how many of you have taken? All of you have taken. Covishield, Covaxin. What are these things? Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik. Anyone took Sputnik? Multiple names are coming. Vaccines, different companies. Different companies produce different vaccines. Why? They didn't try to do it out of the goodwill of their heart. During pandemic time, almost if you have heard, every company started claiming efficiency. Mine is 85% efficient. Mine is 90% efficient. Pfizer came out telling mine is 100% efficient. Each one kept telling, no, mine is efficient, mine is efficient, mine is efficient. Why? Because if something is more good and better, you will pick that only. And if it is coming in budget, Indian mentality, best quality, less amount of money. We want like that only. At that point of time, people started competing. Who is going to offer best? Okay. Similar way, here people started competing. Who is going to offer best? Not best students, best things. But now, if you look at engineering college, you will see what is the placement level. First thing you will see is what is the placement level. If they're not going to get you any placement level, then why will you go to that college? Colleges are ranked based on placement levels. Yeah. So everything is now based on money market. You spent so much and entered into this market. You will be thinking also to make that much money out of it. Be it this or this. Even if you don't want, society will make you do that. Okay. So because you put in money, you have to take out money. And these institutions have spent huge amount of money to be here. So they have to take out that same amount of money. Now, this MBBS only will take. Now, someone has to, private hospital doctors only, let's say. City pay. Okay, Bangalore pay, let's say. He decides, okay, I went in through management quota or I went into normal NEET also. I got selected out of merit. Every person that you charge, let's say, he charges 500 per patient. Okay, he charges 500 per patient, consultation only. Like this, per day, he gets to see 10 patients. Okay. When you enter into a village, average salary of a person per day, okay. But if you look at reality, books pay we tell, 500 we have to give and that this we have to give. If you look at informal sectors, okay, informal sectors means it is even more this thing. Reality is there are certain people whose monthly income itself is 500 rupees. Okay, and this is not per person, this is for a family of 6. 6 people have to survive with 500 rupees for entire month. Will they be able to give in one consultation 500 rupees? So they thought that which doctor will be willing to take this Or go to a person and place where people tell, sir, I don't have money, my children are that and this. So basically, let's say this person tells, by and max, at best, I can give you 3 rupees. Who has gone through 5 years of education, spending so much money, okay? Whether you go through your management quota or whether in normal quota, but still you have to spend for staying, lodging, fooding and all those things. Will that person take this or will that person take this? Very obvious choice. No matter how much goodwill is there in your gesture, people will think, it's okay, I'll do this, then I'll donate remaining to charity. It works out. That much brains are there in our country. So all people are flocking towards here only. Healthcare centers, all the top healthcare centers are focused here only. Right? Here we call them hospitals. We call them clinics. Here we call them primary healthcare center, where even the concept of a doctor being present is a very huge thing. In reality times, what happens? The compounder or the person who is there to be there in the hospital sometimes, not sometimes, majority times prescribes medicines. A blue pill is for headache, red pill is for fever. Take this, it's fine. Many a times this is also happening. First thing. Second thing, government has now somehow, let's say, it has made sure that no, government doctor compulsorily, he has to be posted here. I will give you the salary. That is also government doing. Government will tell you work here. I will give you the salary. In those cases also, they witnessed that the doctors didn't go to hospital at all. They went around 12, came back around 1. Where can everyone go keep monitoring and logging? Correct? Why the doctor? No, he goes to city to go do treatment there and comes back. So 1 hour. In that 1 hour of time, the amount of things in the village, amount of people in that village, how many people he can treat? So the health condition or healthcare condition is becoming extremely worse. In cities, if you're telling, I'm not going to tell it's becoming extremely best. It's becoming even more increasingly worse. Thing is, for a simple medication which should be given, be it cold, flu or anything, unnecessary scams, unnecessary higher medications for something that unnecessary usage of salines, drips. If you have let's say a illness, okay, we have 3 degrees of medicines. Okay, our medicines, tertiary is only for last resort drug. Okay, we call it LRD. Last resort drug means this is the maximum we have. Above this, we don't have medicines only for that particular disease. This comes in very rare cases of tuberculosis and all those things. But increasingly in India, what is happening is resistance. Antimicrobial resistance, AMR. That is, even for common issues, they give such high doses that the illness, okay, the strains are becoming, for example, I keep giving constantly for a disease which will be removed by primary drug, I will keep giving secondary drug. So much so that the microorganism which was dying at this stage is now not dying because it became resistant to it. Now they have to give tertiary drug. Majority cases of India we have seen where issues have created that even for tertiary drug resistance have come off. Antimicrobial resistance. Majority people are now suffering with this. Why? One simple thing. Doctors are prescribing dosages which are not even needed but for your illness. People started asking, why are they prescribing like that? It goes back to the story because pharmaceutical companies are offering the doctors a benefit, telling if you prescribe my drug more and more, then you will get this much percentage of benefit. You will get more and more incentives from our side. So additional source of income. They are resorting, pharmaceutical company, their drugs should sell, their medicine should sell, which means they are making money. But who is the person who is getting here affected, be it in the city or be it in the village. Different conditions, but people are getting affected. In this case, people are not knowing, and salines. You go telling into any city hospital like properly, I'm feeling very tired. Achha, okay, take one drips and go. Drips has become a very common thing. Whether you want it or not, you take it. So much so that this concept of medicine, okay, it has become here scarce, here it has become too much. Both sides are becoming and going towards a direction where people are not benefiting. This drastic difference, okay, this drastic difference between village or what is we call as rural urban divide. India is facing an extreme increased case of rural urban divide. What we spoke was just about medicine. Now, if you enter into this field, this is even more chaotic. Fine, you can tell villages pay or rural areas pay. You will give them basic education. Okay, here in urban areas, I will give them completely international set of educations. At least that's what they say. This education's pay, they are lacking or they are not providing adequate. You're making the world completely globalized. But still today, majority of the factions from this section are struggling. Yes, talented, very talented. But they're struggling because they're not able to express themselves in the common language. Why? Because it is of no fault of theirs. They never told that I don't want to learn English. They don't, we didn't provide them. We didn't provide them, and now we are telling that, if you have to compete in the globalized world, you have to know that. So who is benefiting? Now they started spoken English classes. So everything they're trying to make money out of the disadvantages of people. Computer education neglected, or technological education neglected. UPSC, if you have to fill, it is completely online. So many students struggle because they're not able to fill one application online. So many people have issues during your pandemic. I don't know how many of you have went through this newspapers at that point of time. Schools were conducted in the online mode, which means everyone had to have access to smartphone. An 8th standard girl committed suicide because she couldn't attend classes because their family was not having enough income to buy a smartphone. This may appear like, why did she commit suicide for such a silly thing? And moreover, not going to school is a good thing. No, for most people, but for some people, their whole life, if they have to get out of that life, that is the only mode. And that itself is taken away from them. So it feels like their whole life has crushed down in front of them. That happened on one side. The other side, if you saw, people started getting, in the urban side, excessive exposure to your digital source has led to online bullying, okay? Your online bullying is one more thing, and the excessive usage of the social media platforms has led to mental health conditions where students of 8th standard, 7th standard are suffering from anxiety attacks. They are suffering about, self-depreciation. Their worth is defined based on the pictures they post. This became a huge topic of trend because they started feeling they are not good enough. They are not doing enough. All the excesses started coming. Here they don't have access for basic thing. They are not given the access. Here they have given excess access, so much so that if you look at India's death rate, largest number of death in India, the second place, first is through road accidents, second is through suicide. And majority of that case is youth. Yeah. And also another thing is, the condition mainly that is claimed is mental health. Especially during your pandemic times, mental health related suicide rates increased alarmingly. People started questioning, what is government trying to do? Government said, we have come up with suicide helplines. They have to call them. But again, that was not effective. Most times when people called, no one picked it. And when they tried to call again and again, people were not helping. And we are, again, see, as our society, I'm telling every society has its own fair share of issues. Our society, we have stereotyped the gender. A men should not cry, a woman can cry, a woman should not do this, men can do this. See, the stereotyping has not been only for women. We have stereotyped the society in such a manner that we have traumatized both men and women equally. What traumas are there for a woman, it's a separate set of traumas. What traumas we've given for men, that's a separate set of traumas. So one thing we've constantly given them is gendered stereotypes. If you look at Indian society, or for the whole sociological level, if you see, we have only sex, male, female, third gender, whatever it is. This is natural. But this is not natural. This was created by society. This was created by nature. This was created by society. So much so that we have started doing gendered stereotype. Meaning, we are addressing the roles, or the, like we said, prejudices. Child giving birth, biologically, that belongs to women. That is nature. That given birth child has to be reared only by a woman. That is gendered stereotyping. A woman can give birth. A woman only can give birth. That is the sex part. That is the nature, women. Okay, this is created by nature. That is fine. But the child that she has given birth, also in our society, child rearing has to be done by women. Yeah, there is no such rule that child rearing has to be done only by women. It can be done by a male also. But no, we have attained and given this gendered stereotype telling that no, women only childbirth, women only child rearing. You know, this created a rift, okay, between the male who would, let's say if this generation wants to be more involved, bonding with the child, is not allowed to. Why? You have to go out, work and come. You have to stay in home, take care of the child. What if they wanted to do the opposite roles? That is looked down upon. Our society has gendered people, labeled them, or prejudiced them. Okay, this is happening in the society. This is what we call gendered stereotype or prejudices, which your 6th and 7th NCERT talk a lot about, and also about your primary health. Write down gendered stereotypes and write this in detail. Done? In our constitution, we have something called as fundamental rights. Okay. So I told you Constitution is a big book where we write down rules, where we have certain sections, regulations and everything, right? So everything has to be organized properly, right? So we organize the contents based on articles. Okay. For example, first article pe we speak, India is a union of states. Okay. Telling that India means this and this. Second article, third article, like that we keep talking who is considered as a citizen of India and all these things. Similarly, like that, your Indian constitution, okay, offers, look at this, constitution offers certain rights and guarantees to the people of India or to the citizens. One more thing, now I use this word, constitution offers rights and guarantees. Prelims question was asked, it was a way back question. Who offers rights and guarantees to the people of India? 4 options were given. People didn't pick constitution, people kept picking president, prime minister and all these things. In India, okay, the rights are offered to people only by the constitution, not president, not prime minister, not council of ministers, not anybody. Only constitution offers rights and guarantees to the people of India. Okay. So one such set of rights, okay, Constitution tells we can give multiple rights, but there are certain rights which are so fundamental and basic that if we violate that rights, then they are no longer, we cannot call them that we have given them human status. For example, one such thing is right to life. This is Article 21. If someone is now breaking the concept that anyone can randomly come pick you and kill you off, then what is the point of a constitution? What is the point of someone giving you rights? What is the point of you existing in this country? Right? So fundamental rights means it is just this. Rights which are so basic and inviolable. Meaning they should not be violated without reasonableness. Write down, I'll tell you what that means. Fundamental rights means rights which are so basic and which are very extrinsic part of human nature that they are inviolable except under reasonable restriction. Bracket pe write down, test of reasonableness. Sure. Okay. I'll give you 2 scenarios. First, if government decides you're speaking against the government and it decides I don't like that person. So if it comes and kills you off, do you think it is safe to live in this country? Would you want to live in this country? Your so-called concept of right to life, is it valid? Yeah. So this right of yours, right to life, is inviolable. They should not violate it. They should not be able to kill you. First condition. Second condition. This is the most debated condition, but still this is what India follows. India has a concept of death penalty. We use it in cases, this is again a real life scenario where a gang rape victim, okay, she comes out and speaks telling they have performed activities on me that is not humane, and because of that she loses her life. 5 people who were associated with that and who have brutally killed and murdered that woman because of this. Now, do you think that kind of activity, people who have committed, should they be allowed to live where they've mercilessly taken away the life of her? There are human rights people who argue that, yeah, this person should not take the life of other person, but we should not take away the life of this person. You know, for that, what is the answer that we give? If he's a human being, we could do that. But this person never behaved like a human being in the first place. So it is nothing more than an animal. In this case, not even animals can be, we shouldn't tarnish animals by comparing these with animals. So that kind of person, should he be allowed to roam around freely in the society? Some people rehabilitate that person. Okay, fine, you rehabilitate the person telling, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Didn't he know it in the first place it was wrong? So now, if he is let back in the society, okay, because we are either way not going to show this person did this, right? You're not going to show him in the TV news media. What if there is a scenario that he again commits the crime? So by letting this person around, you voluntarily took 2 lives away. Yes or no? So in this case, does that person deserve to be hanged? I mean, death penalty should be given to him or not? Yes or no? So that is what here we tell. There are certain fundamental rights which are inviolable. You shouldn't violate except under reasonable restrictions. Now, this death penalty for a gang rape victim, is it a test of reasonableness that his life should be taken away? Yes. So this comes for your test of reasonability. That is, government cannot. Now by government, I mean Supreme Court, if it awards death penalty, it will not tell, how this guy spoke against government, I'm going to kill him. No. It will test this reasonableness. Does this person, if we let him back in the society, will he harm more human beings? And that should not be based on speculation. He has just committed that crime. Okay. So on that condition, test of reasonableness is appreciated in all of the fundamental rights. So I told you there are certain rights which are so basic and which are so intrinsic to human life that these rights should not be violated at any cost. If it is violated, it should be only based on reasonable restrictions. Understanding? So the number of rights that we have is from Article 14 to Article 32. There are certain rights which give effects to these rights, that is from Article 12 to Article 35. We call them as fundamental rights. But for you, will teach you in advanced class. As of now, you just know from Article 14 to Article 32, we speak about fundamental rights. Understanding? See this. What is it? Even during emergency, your Article 21 and 20 cannot be violated. By withheld, here we are not withholding, we are reasonably restricting it. Because your national security comes prior. So in no phrase we can tell that your fundamental right is stopped from you. Even in emergency, 20 and 21 still will be in picture. Okay? Okay, yeah, okay. I'll give you an example. See, we have Article 19. Okay. Here we just say Article 9. The multiple articles are there. You will be taught everything in advanced class. Here just introducing the terms. Basic. No? Article 19, we call it as freedom of speech and expression. Okay. According to this Article 19, we have multiple freedoms given to people. One such thing is freedom of movement. You are in this country a citizen, meaning you can go anywhere to your country. You can go either for just simply fun, ride, go anything. No one should restrict your movement. That is first thing. Like yours, is there any other circumstances apart from war or emergency? In this Article 19, I told you there is freedom of movement. Yeah. But under this freedom of movement, there is one reasonable restriction where you can apply. Where I told you, freedom of movement, everyone can freely move around. But you can curb the movement of prostitutes. That is, in case they are affected and they move around the country. All right, by move around, I'm not telling they'll be confined in one place. Go from place to place. That will lead to spread of diseases. Okay. Now here, don't assume that if a prostitute walks, all that air pay and all it will come. No, not those kind. Look what the occupation is. Through that occupation, there is a chance of spreading of the disease. Now, when you tell a prostitute, do not go from this state to that state. Now, she can claim you are violating my freedom of movement. Yes. But under this circumstance, here the reasonable restriction is public health. Under this as a reasonable restriction, we can tell her, no, we cannot allow you to pass through. For every single article, there are multiple reasonable restrictions. Another place, example, fine. You're all going to be bureaucrats, okay? Army personals, civil servants, diplomats, intelligence agency organizations, okay? Let's assume you are in the government. When lockdown was announced, we all got to know the information on one day when it was announced. But you as bureaucrats will come to know this information beforehand. Okay. Now you, let's say a lockdown was announced on 21st of March. Assume that. But you came to know that there is going to be a lockdown. Now there is going to be something like this on February 12th itself. Okay. Now you cannot come out and tell people closer to you by telling, there is going to be lockdown, so all of you stack all these things, or you leave this country and go. You cannot tell that even though you have access to that information. See, I told you Article 19 is freedom of speech and expression. You can come out and tell when they hold you responsible, you can tell, it is my freedom of speech and expression. I can tell anything I want. But again, one of the article's reasonable restriction is you are in this position that you came to know is because of your post. That post is not for you. That is for the service of people, which means you cannot use. So Article 19 is restrictive for people who are in civil services, diplomats, army, military, intelligence agencies. You cannot tell out the information even though you know it, even if it is violative of your freedom of speech and expressions. Why? Reasonable restriction or TOR, test of reasonableness. Understanding? We have one more article. We kept speaking about this untouchability. We kept speaking about this gender, how the society is gendered and all those things. Article 15 explicitly speaks that no discrimination, okay, shall be done explicitly on the basis of your sex, place of birth, your origin. Only on those bases, someone cannot discriminate you. By this someone, state cannot discriminate against you because you are a woman. Like for example, what I mean is, tomorrow, let's say state government has got some jobs, vacancies. Let's say it needs people for managerial positions. State government now will pass a vacancy order telling that I need 250 members. That is, I have vacancy for 250 seats for managerial positions. Only men should apply. When state tells this, is it right or wrong? Right or wrong? People open up and tell, right or wrong? Wrong. Why? State can't discriminate based on gender. Okay. Now the same thing. This state, okay, it is running a mine. Okay, it is having mining operations. Now it says that I need people to work. It needs people to work in the mine. It tells that I need 250 people. I have 250 vacancy to work in the mine. Only men can apply. Is state right or wrong? Right. Wrong. Why is it right? Why is it wrong? Why wrong? And why right?
The necessity to work in a mine will be
Come here. True. So this is a reasonable restriction. The second case pay, the state can do that. The first case pay, it cannot do that. Why? Because it was managerial conditions or managerial posts ke liye I was talking. Here I was talking about mines. Okay, which the state thinks that it is hazardous for women. There are multiple fights again on that. They are telling, who are you to tell me what is hazardous and all those things. But at the end of the day, this is how it presently works. Okay, state can apply reasonable restrictions only on these kind of things. Another thing we spoke, okay, gendered, apart from gendered, we spoke something about untouchability. One thing that is an absolute right, okay, in fundamental rights, no right is absolute, meaning everything comes with a reasonable restriction. This right is there, but we can violate it in this kind of scenario. But there is one right that you cannot give any reasons telling, this pay I violated, that pay I violated, I didn't know. Okay, that is your Article 17. Right against untouchability. Okay, your Supreme Court, your government, your legislature, all three are extremely against practice of untouchability in any form. Okay, when I write inform and means, below this write down inform and means, and you cannot use this kind of symbols. No ampersand symbols, no symbols for anything, full form only. Okay, inform and means. I told you what untouchability is. Don't take the literal meaning, not going and touching someone, untouchability is practiced. Not that. What we discussed, what the people went through, that is untouchability. And most times what used to happen was children were, the harshest reality is that children were the ones who were put through this untouchability in a very larger levels. Schools, very basic medium where you go in. Children who are of a younger age, their minds are very imprintable. What you learn by the, not your A, B, C, D, those things. What you learn as basic values stick with you until you die. Or at least that's what society tells. Now, for those kind of people, when you go to school, only a certain section of students are made to sit on the benches and some people were made to sit on the floor. This is again a real life incident, where the students were made to, certain students were made to sit down. They didn't understand it back then. So this particular student was sitting, I was very excited. First time I've come to school, people are sitting with me. There were other bunch of students also who were sitting on the floor. So the only thing they were excited is I'm sitting with my friend. This person is my friend, so and so. Up until 9th standard, this practice continued. One day the student realized, why am I sitting on the floor? It took these many years to realize, why am I sitting on the floor? Why should I sit on the floor? That's when the person, when went back and asked, or when asked the teachers, it was because they belong to a lower caste. Now, when you do these kind of things, what do you think the person's mind would have been? So all this while they put me here, I was thinking, no, I was just sitting with my friends, but it was not that. I am not worthy enough to sit on the bench with other people. So you have voluntarily diminished the worth of an individual. Now, no school can claim that, no, we didn't do that. We didn't know that we didn't practice untouchability. It was a practice which we kept following. There is no test of reasonableness that tells that, okay, we didn't know that. Only here we do not use any such reasonableness. There is no such thing that gives you an explanation to treat that child that way. And many times, this concept of midday meal scheme, where schools provide, okay, not all schools, government schools pay or aided schools pay, they provide one free course of meal. Majority students in this happened. This is also again a real life scenario. School started, the parents stopped sending their children to the schools. Now this became very alarming for the district collector as to why students are not coming to classes. Then went and inquired. They said that our caste people, we will not like when a lower caste person has prepared food for them. The person who prepared the meal was a lower caste people, and we will not eat food out of their hands. This is reality. District collector had to deal with this. Now you will also have to deal with this. That particular district collector was very repulsed by this. He told, let her prepare, I will sit and eat there. So this is all reality. These things are what you will be facing. And this is what your NCERT say. Yes, they speak untouchability, this so and so story. That is for a 6th standard person. What of it is needed for a UPSC aspirant? That way you have to see. So for all the things I specified, this is the reasonable restriction. This was a condition, but here there is no such condition where you can tell, no, without knowing I did it off. No, this is the practice. In a particular village, there is a practice that any marriage functions happen. People of lower caste, they are supposed to take off all the leaves, plantation waste or whatever it is, and wash the feet of all the guests. This is a practice of that particular village. Now, when all the elders were done, all the youngsters who are now there, who belong to the same caste, but all of them are educated. They told that, now these elders told that, wash the feet of those people. The youngsters repulsed. They told, no, why will I want to do that? I am not going to take part in this. So all the village elders, they said that these communities are going against this, and they tried to burn the parents. When asked, why are you doing all these things? They said, it is how our village will function. This is our practice. That is not test of reasonableness. That is mere nonsense. So for every article, we have reasonable restriction, but for this, there is no reasonable restrictions. There is nothing possible in this world where you can tell, untouchability, I had to practice, there was no other choice. In no form or medium should untouchability be practiced. I said form and means. When I mean that, directly practicing untouchability is also a crime. Instigating someone to practice untouchability is also a crime. That is, for example, you write down an article telling, no, we have to stick back to our culture, where these people have to do this particular thing. Okay, for example, you write telling that, no, a person from this caste has to wash the feet of all the higher caste people. Here you are not physically performing untouchability, but you're inciting people to perform untouchability. So either in the form of writing or any form you be it, in any form or mean, performing untouchability is a crime. Understanding? There is no such reasonableness for this article. This is an absolute right. Write this down. What is it? Was? I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
It was kind of like so.
Yes. Which was allowed?
during the lockdown.
You're asking lockdown country. No. That is not untouchability. No. No, I thought that you're telling the segregation of people to be voluntarily be. No, this, whatever you said, quarantine, that comes as a test of reasonable restriction. It forms under you coming out, fine, you want to come out. But you're risking all the lives of other people. That was not an untouchability at all, no. The untouchability, like I said, you being quarantined doesn't come under untouchability at all. This comes specifically for a particular caste of people, scheduled caste especially. What we did to them, okay, was inhumane. What they went through was something that no human should ever go through. No other, only this article, no other people.
Doesn't it contribute to your right to practice any religion or culture? Because it was the religious culture to wash the feet. And doesn't it contradict that right as well?
See, right to practice any religion, you have that. Our constitution gives that. But if that religion tells you have to involuntarily make someone do this, then that doesn't come under right to practice religion. That falls under reasonable restriction. We'll take this case. According to particular religions, 1970s, there was a huge ban on the concept of giving human offerings, sacrifices. Humans were offered sacrifices. People told, this is my religious belief. Your religious belief, as long as it doesn't take the life, okay, by life, moral dignity of another individual, you practice it. But in case if you perform this or in any kind, okay, then it doesn't come under your freedom of religion. Untouchability was considered when untouchability was abolished. Okay, people said that it is extrinsic part of Hinduism. How can you do that? The maker said one thing: your religion is within you. You do all rituals, religions, everything fine, as long as it does not affect the other person's life. The same thing can be said about the Sabarimala case also, right? They said it is my religious matter, you cannot interfere. What did the court tell? You are not allowing this particular gender in for a particular reason. At a particular age, they stop having those things. That is menstrual. Again, in the class, don't become squeamish as to why are they speaking about LGBT, why are they speaking about periods and all these things. You are not a college graduate, you are a bureaucrat who has to deal with these things. Think in that mindset. So the issue was, you are telling you will not let women into this organization is because women tend to menstruate. Yes, but now at a particular stage, they enter into this stage where they will not menstruate anymore. That time, why are you not allowing them? That was a condition. They passed that. Still, a lot of fights happened. One thing about our Indian society, by Indian society, I mean, see, our constitution has given birth to 3 organs. Okay? Our constitution has given birth to 3 organs. Legislature, executive, judicial. One is the lawmaker, one is the law implementer, one is the one sees whether that law is in resonance with the constitution. Okay, this person said that no, you cannot do that. You are violating, your religious practice is violating someone's life. Understanding? You practice any religion it is. Now, you cannot create or invent a religion and tell, according to my belief, I'm going to go killing around people. You cannot tell that. On the same reasonable restrictions pair, you have something called as freedom to practice any profession. Simple thing. It is very easier. Freedom to practice any profession. There is no such thing. You can practice any religion, I mean, profession you want. There is one test of reasonableness. Again, see, whenever we find this test of reasonableness is because we have seen these kind of things happen in the society. One fellow was nabbed. That is, one fellow was caught. That fellow was doing human smuggling. He was abducting women, female, girls, child, everything. When held and questioned why, he told, that is my freedom to practice any profession. Human smuggling, organ selling, these kind of things will not come under practice any profession. Now this will come under your test of reasonableness. Fundamental right, if you start giving absolute, like we just said, freedom to practice any profession, I will practice human trafficking, kidnapping. Is this valid? So that is why every right from Article 14 to 32, whatever I told, all has a test of reasonableness. Only one is absolute right. Article 7. Clear?
For certain religions like sect of Jains, we don't wear clothes at all. And that is also, that is their religious practice, but that is not permitted for Islam.
See, no, that is Digambars, not Shvetambars. Each particular religion, there is also some other concept. Again, I'm not going to mention any religion names, especially in my class, where they voluntarily give up their life. Okay? You as a person just cannot put yes or no on that particular things. We said you shouldn't harm the life of anyone else. But that gives you a right over your life. I can do whatever I want with my life. But again, suicide is not permitted. It's not permitted. It's seen as a crime. You can tell, no, I'm not harming anyone. I'm doing it to myself. I'm doing self-harm and all those things. But it is a crime. Why? Because if you allow keeping on people to do what they want, then it will not lead to a just and egalitarian society. For things you said, it is not permitted. No, it is not such thing that it is not permitted.
They're imprisoned for it, right?
No. They're not imprisoned for it. But if they have certain things such as law and cloth, okay, and they're not imprisoned for practicing that. So public nudity is a crime. Okay, not a crime, an offense. Okay, public nudity is an offense, but in this condition, you cannot tell that people practicing a particular religion where they prefer to be like that, they are jailed for it. It's not happening in that way, at least with respect to religious. See, for example, helmet wearing is compulsory, but for people wearing turban, it's not mandatory. Now, what do you tell for that? We give, again, for these kind of sections, we do not put them at large. We give special provisions only for them. Right now, people wearing turban, they don't have to wear helmet. There is a law. Now, you cannot go and tell, I will wear scarf, allow me also. So you cannot change the rules according to you. We have given certain special provisions only for certain section of people. Public nudity and the person practicing Digambar, this thing are not same. Both are very different concept. Me wearing scarf and someone wearing turban, both are not same. Very different concept. Yeah. But again, reasonable restrictions. Okay.
So this evidence. But there is one restriction that people who are serving the jail term is not allowed. Why is that?
And people who are serving the jail terms, see, for that reasons are many. One small reason I'll give you. One more is logistical differences. Prison pay you will not see if you're keeping him in one prison. Parapnagrara prison you'll keep. If that person is from some northern state, his constituency is there only. If all the inmates, if you have to take them to their respective constituency, what is the logistics? How will you be able to do it? That is difficult to me. So that is the reasons. One of the reason. When I said your public nudity and this thing is not. Flashing someone on a regular basis, offense. Okay. They are not doing, these people are not doing every time that thing so that you are feeling disgusted. They are not doing it on a regular basis to make sure you are offended. Okay. So differences are there. Clear up until here? Any doubts? Anything you didn't understand? Something, anything? I'll not end the class if you guys don't answer. Clear? Understanding? We'll end the class. Online class, any doubts? All right, then let's end the session.